Good morning. Thank you for joining us here today. It's wonderful to see all of you who have joined us in person and those of you who are joining us live. It warms my heart to know that you're out there, and I love feedback. Any feedback that we get from anybody, I really appreciate it. And actually, this Sunday's topic was actually suggested to us by a friend of us personally. Before I get into the topic, though, I just wanted to give you a quick reminder to please click right below and like our Facebook page if you're watching from the Earth and Sky Center. If you're watching from my personal page, type Earth and Sky Center either into YouTube or Facebook, and go ahead and go on over to that page. Click the like button on Facebook, click the subscribe button on YouTube. If you want to get all of our notifications, click the little bell notification right next to the subscribe button on YouTube. Thank you so much for doing that. And also, I needed to make a little bit of a scheduling announcement where I might have mixed this up a little bit, but I got really excited about the topic I wanted to do this week. And I should have been doing the topic, which we will do next week, on Lunasa. Lunasa is the next of the holidays that is going up here on our wheel. It's going to be this little spoke right here. It's traditionally the eve of July 31st and the morning of August 1st is where we put that in. And so it's the first of the harvest festivals, which is the festivals that I really get excited about. Yule, which is down here, is my favorite holiday, but my favorite of that competes with all of these harvest festivals because I just love that time, that season of the year where we're bringing in the harvest. And we've gone from this brilliant summer sun, which a lot of people love and get their energy from, and then we've gone through all of the stages of the year. You know, we talk about this a lot. This is our main focus currently. Is we start with back here. There was Yule, which is right near Christmas, December 21st, and then we went over to travel to Imbolc and to Beltane and Ostara, and then up here to the summer solstice, and then now we have 3 fire harvests solstices and equinoxes that we're coming up to. So we will be getting into all of that, but it's going to be next Sunday instead of this Sunday. And for those who join us frequently in person, we're going to be having a celebration here as well. And so if you're ever interested in joining us in person, we do have some nice discussion periods after the services, and we have some other little things that we do together sometimes too. So I'm really looking forward to talking about Lunasa and celebrating that as well. So I hope all of you will enjoy this time of year as we're starting to travel. You know, with the summer solstice that we just had, it was the longest day of the year. So we've reached that peak of the year where we had the longest day, the sun was the brightest, and it's just slowly starting its descent here a little bit. And so we're losing a little bit of daylight. You know, every couple days we lose about a minute of daylight as the sun sets a little bit earlier. It starts to rise a smidgen later. And so that is helping prepare all of the crops so that we'll be able to have our bounty. You know, back in the days where we were all hunters and gatherers, you know, it was so important to know this cycle because that's when you ate, that's when you brought in all the food, and then you had to store it through the winter and you had to make your plans through the spring. And so now we're lucky we have grocery stores on every corner. But it's still wonderful to come back to our roots and to pay attention to that natural cycle in life. So we're going to get into all of that next week. And this week we're going to talk about protection, which in a way is nice to lead into before we get into Lunasa, honestly, because it's so important to protect yourself, to protect your home, to protect your crops, to protect your ideas. So not all of us are farmers anymore. I know I've been exposed to a lot more farming since moving to Michigan than I ever had. I didn't know certain things grew out of the ground versus trees, and now I do. So it's been very educational living here, but it's a nice time to live too because we don't have to worry about all of that, which allows us to open up to focus on other ideas and other plans and expanding ourselves in other ways through our mind and consciousness and awareness and a lot of other diverse talents. You know, there are more artisans and things because we have this ability to rely on each other, and it kind of goes back to that service we did about how it takes a village. And so we have many people that we rely on in our lives, and whether it's buying and selling goods with different people and different crafts, and all of that helps us to be able to live the life that we want to live, because our basic necessities can come a little bit easier. We're not spending many hours out in the fields. And I have so much respect for the farmers who do that for all of us and feeding the world with all of that. So this one really does lead into the next with protection. And what really inspired me a lot to talk about protection was actually talking with JJ, because he had a meditation recently, and I realized that I haven't done my part so much in sharing and talking about protection, because we do a lot with meditation, and through our life talks every Sunday we've talked a lot about bettering yourself and how to find inspiration within yourself and how to know the wisdom within yourself, because all of the answers and everything in the universe is already right within you, and it's all around you. It's about opening and tapping into that and bringing those answers in. Well, at the same time that we do that, it's also important to protect yourself too, and to metaphysically to protect yourself. So there are many different ways to see this. Now, when I was younger, I'll start with when I was young, I had a lot of experiences, a lot of psychic experiences that just came very naturally to me, and a lot of ghost experiences, and some of them were quite frightening, and I had no idea what to do with it. I didn't have anybody in my life that was an expert on it or could explain it, and my mother had no idea why these things were going on in my room, and the evidence was there, but she couldn't really steer me, and so I tried to figure out different ways to protect. And sometimes I would call out to the father figure of Jesus, and sometimes I would call out to angels, and sometimes I would rely on my guardian angel. Once I recognized her, I was about 12 when I first saw my guardian angel, and then that's when I started really building the relationship and relying on her for that protection. And it's expanded ever since. And I recently had a phone call from a client who has a 13-year-old boy who's going through really the same type of thing, and they're seeing a lot of evidence of ghosts in his room and different things that are making him nervous. So I really was anxious to get to start talking to him and to see what I can do to help show him that he can protect himself. There's no reason to fear anything, and this doesn't just relate to things psychically. It also relates to if you ever feel like your energy is just drained. If you're in a big crowd of people and you come home and you just feel like your energy is drained, or if you're in a room of people and you suddenly feel like you're irritable or you're kind of angry or you're depressed, and you know it's not you. You don't feel like these emotions relate to you at all, but you've been around all these people and you start carrying these emotions around you, and that's called empathy. And it's also called being an empath for people that are very sensitive and pick up on it a lot. I know my husband is very empathic, and so if he's around anybody, can be just one-on-one or in a group, then he's going to very likely pick up on what those people are feeling, and he just can sense it. And if he's not careful, then he takes it on as his own. And so it takes practice, and it takes learning how to use protection to prevent that from going into your own energy, because it's important if you're around people, you don't want to carry somebody else's depression or anger or irritability or confusion or any of that with you. So it's very simple to learn certain steps so that you can protect yourself, you can interact with them in a loving way and leave that energy with them. And you can actually send that energy back to them with love, so that hopefully it will become a little bit lighter and a little easier for them, because it comes back to them with love. And then it's not impacting you and it's not hanging on to you, which is so important. And then you can also call your energy back to you, because sometimes when you're around people, some people will just kind of drain your energy, and you'll probably know certain people that you're around and that just drains your energy, and you get home and you're like, every time I'm around this person, I'm so tired afterwards. Why is that? Well, we're all electromagnetic beings. We have that field we've talked about. It's about 3 feet off the body, the electromagnetic energy, and people will tap into that. So some people tend to drain off of other people, and they don't mean to do it per se, but they're feeding off of your energy. And so when you leave them, you're just drained. There are ways to protect yourself so that you won't feel that drain. And so that if you do realize after you leave them that you realize you're tired, there's ways that you can just call that energy back to you. You can have your energy back, you can cut those cords off and be free of that and be back to your happy natural self. And so we're going to get into all of that. And my husband just had an experience recently with meditation, and this is where I really realized I haven't touched on protection like I really should have, especially as much as we've gone into a lot of things. And so he was meditating and astral projected, and it wasn't something he was planning to do. It wasn't something he had ever done before, and it caught him quite by surprise because and a lot of people I talk to, their first astral projection experience is very nerve-wracking, and it's, you wonder what just happened, how did that happen, why did that happen? And then on top of that, his was really an interesting experience because often when you astral project, you don't necessarily know where you're going to go or what the experience is going to be, and it's so important to protect yourself first. And so he had astral projected to, it looked like around the Mexico border, and had actually felt himself go into somebody where he saw a line of men that were, it looked like what we call coyotes. In Arizona, this is very common, and we hadn't even thought about this in years, this type of an experience, and it goes on all the time though, especially just with all the things that are going on the border. This has been years and years and years of problems. And so he saw this line of men that looked like they were very troubled and very sad and just kind of scared and lost and under somebody else's control. And so he connected with the eyes of one of the people and saw that that person was thinking and then tried to bolt. And so as soon as that man tried to bolt to escape, he felt himself run after the man, which is not, if anybody knows JJ, he would be the one helping somebody escape if they're abducted or in some type of confinement like that. And so it created a huge conflict within himself because he felt himself chasing down this guy and trying to, within his brain, stop what was going on. But the instinct was he was seeing himself chasing. And so then when he came out of the meditation, he was, what was that? What was that about? That is not me. That was horrible. That was sad. That is not what I want to do with meditation. Maybe I shouldn't meditate because that's not what I want to do. That's not what I signed up for when I started meditation. And it's a scary experience. And he's not the only one that I've seen go through this. I've talked to several people that when they, a lot of times, usually astral projection happens when you're sleeping, it seems like. But it can happen with meditation, but for most people it's when you're sleeping and you'll kind of wake up and start to see yourself above yourself and things like that. So it really led to this discussion about needing to protect yourself so that you can control what's going on, or so that if you're in that situation, so you don't feel that personal tug. And I think that the reason that happened to him is because the universe saw him as a light being who was able to lend a little bit of help and a little bit of energy to that situation. So while he didn't know the conscious thought of the person whose body he was inhabiting for those short moments, I believe that his light energy, and because he's so the opposite of that, I believe it caused enough of a stumble in that person who was chasing down the other guy. It caused enough of a stumble that maybe the other guy got away, or maybe it's caused some turn of thought within the captor's mind too, because when somebody goes in, a light worker goes in and does something like that, often it will cause the person they're inhabiting to reflect a bit and to hopefully have something that comes through that changes his mind and maybe realizes this isn't the type of thing I'm supposed to be doing, this isn't the life I want to live. It can be a very long-term road. I'm not saying that he's making any changes suddenly, or it might have been just a simple incident where it was just enough time where he was able to stop the guy so the other guy could escape, and maybe it saved that one person. It's hard to know. It might not have had a dramatic effect at all. We have no idea. But the universe works in these mysterious ways sometimes because it sees if you're ready and you're able and you're available, then it needs that extra little boost of light to help make changes happen in the world. So with that being said, protection is extremely important, and I feel like it was lacking a little bit in not covering this sooner. So before you meditate, each time I lead meditation, I don't know if you've noticed, there's a little bit of a process I follow. So the first thing I do is I ask everybody to close your eyes, and then I ask everybody to start to focus on your breath. And what that does is that just brings you into the present moment. So you're right here in this moment. You're not focusing on any distractions around you because your eyes are closed. you begin to relax, and by focusing on your breath, you're in the present moment. And so everything else slips away. The stresses of the day, all the other thoughts just starting to slip away. You focus on your breath, present moment. And then the next thing I do is I bring in that white light. I ask you to focus on a white light just pouring in like a waterfall is usually what I say, and just cascading through you like a waterfall. And that's basically a protection right there. It's a very strong protection to use white light. White light and purple light are both very protective in their own unique ways. So when you bring that white light in, you're essentially creating this cone all around you and through you of white light protection. So then that cleanses you, it clears out the muck of the day. It usually the first stage of the white light coming through is it's kind of like a psychic shower in a way. So you're just kind of washing away the stress, washing away anxiety, washing away depression, irritability, whatever is a lower vibration energy, washes that away, and then it keeps pouring through until it builds up that layer of protection. So then as you go on that meditative journey, you have that natural protection of the universe around you, because all of our natural state is one of balance. It's one of love. The core of all of us, the core of everything we do, no matter what the person is doing on this planet, at their core, love is who we are. And so in that white light is that connection and that core of who we are with that love. And so that light comes in and it just is very, very protective. And so usually that's one of the first things I tell people to do if they're needing protection. Make sure you bring that white light in. You can enhance that sometimes in the shower too. If you feel like you've been in a group of people where you just are kind of carrying that energy, or you don't feel like you after you've been around those people, go home, take a shower, and then visualize the white light coming through. And it can really be enhanced with the shower pouring on you, because you feel like you're in the waterfall of the white light. It's got that 3D effect when you're in the shower with it. And so you feel the white light going through, and you can visualize it very intensely. Visualize it going through each of your organs. Visualize it going through your eyes, behind your eyes. See it vertebrae by vertebrae. Sometimes if I really need it more intense, I'll visualize that white light like each vertebrae, and I'll see it kind of like where it glows almost like a white silver after it goes through it, until it's like each one is lit up. And then by the time you get all the way through your body, and each of the joints, see it light up and just expand out at the joints. And by the time you get all the way through, you're going to feel like you're just radiating like out to here with that white light energy. It's very energizing as well as protective. And so a lot of times, a lot of these things that I'll talk about as ways of protection are also very energizing, because when your energy is being siphoned off, essentially is what's happening if you're feeding it to other people, or if other people are kind of weighing on you, it's essentially being drained away. So when you protect yourself, all of your energies back with you, and so it's very energizing as well as protective. Sage is another really good thing to use. So incense or sage, there are many different types of sage. You can look up different distinctions. Some people will say certain types of sage are better than other types of sage for different purposes. I think intention is a really big thing behind everything. So if your intention is that you're doing this in a way to protect yourself, you can grab pretty much any sage and just use it and know that it's working for you, because things can get as detailed and complex as you want, or they can be as simple and easy as you want. And so I kind of like having things nice and simple, and knowing that your intention is strong with it. Now with sage, if you're doing sage, you're always going to make sure you want to go up with sage. So if you're saging yourself, you can kind of just move it in circles, and just, you'll start at your feet and just move the sage as it's lit, all in circles and around you, in front of you, swirling up, and then you'll go behind you, lift your feet up, swirl it up your back, and then kind of go around you and spiral it, because all of our energy really is spiral vortexes too. So we have all of the chakras, and you can, there's ways to see this visually, which we'll get into with the chakra workshops, where you can actually see that energy spinning. But go ahead and spin it as it swirls up, and then you're gonna feel that energy lift up with you. Now, part of the reason for doing it from the bottom going up is because you're wanting to raise your energy when you're protecting yourself. If you feel like you have a lot that you just want to get rid of, if you had a really stressful day and you're wanting to get rid of a lot and let it go, then you might want to kind of like brush down with some of the sage if that feels better. Like just brush it down and see it all going back down into the earth. All energy can go into the earth and be transmuted and come up as good positive energy. So once you brush it down, then make sure you swirl it and bring it back up too, because you always want to bring your energy up at the end. And this also applies if you're saging your house. So you can do a lot of the protections you do for yourself, you can do for your house as well. So you would want to start in the corners and just kind of swirl it up in the corners and then go across the walls and then start at the bottom of the next corner, go all the way across. Do that through the doorways where you go down and you come up and just, clear it all out, sweep it all out. I might go into more depth with some of these later too, where we actually get really deep into the details of it. I want to go through several things, so I don't want to get too much into it. But with sage, you want to start on the bottom level of your house. When we were preparing to do the center here, we actually did sage the house. So we started in the basement and saged the whole basement, and then the second floor as well. And so you want to start at the lowest level, go to the top level, and then sweep it out the doors. A newer thing, I just started doing it that way this year. I think the beginning of the year I started doing where I kind of at the end I'll sweep it out the front door. I saw that tip from John Edwards, who's a psychic medium that I have a lot of respect for, and I really liked the way that felt when I would just kind of sweep the energy out. So just another little tip for that. So sage or incense, either one works really well for that. A lot of people in the Hindu culture or in Tibet and India, a lot of them will burn incense, and that is just very cleansing and purifying. You don't even have to move it around like you do with sage. You can just burn incense in a room, and incense has this incredible way of breaking up any psychic energy or any mental energy that's blocked or stuck, or if your house ever feels like it's stagnant, or if you ever feel like you're stagnant, if you feel like you're just kind of sitting and spinning your wheels and you can't gain momentum, then try burning some incense and then just allow that incense to burn 2 or 3 days through your house and see how that lifts up that energy. It really kind of lightens it. It has a frequency level where it can actually break up all of those blocks and works really, really well. White light is something that you just have within you. So sage and incense are things that you would either buy or harvest in your garden and use. And but that white light is within all of us. We all have the ability to just tap into that white light. And purple light is another good one too for people that have had energy issues within their house. If they feel like they have a lot of negativity going on or a lot of spirit activity that is getting just a little bit out of control, then I'll tell them to use a purple light. And so I kind of like to just cast it up like a net. So a lot of this you visualize, which is where meditation is really good. The more you meditate, the better you become at being able to visualize and see these things. And you really want to see it within your mind. The more strongly you see it within your mind, the more strong the protection is. So the purple net you can actually just cast up and you visualize like a big purple net and you just kind of throw it up over the house, or you can use your breath. That's a really powerful thing to do. So you just use your breath and kind of blow it up over the house and then see it kind of cascade down, and it falls and it seals all of the boundaries of the house. So if you feel like it needs to extend out a little further, you can do it over the property line. And so you just kind of, I like to kind of cast it up closer to the stars, and then I just see it cascade down and it filters out, so there's no negativity that's left behind. It works really, really well. We were, one time I was in the forest, we were doing the moonlight walk, and there was a woman there who got a little nervous because the walk that we would do after the drumming circle was in a Native American area, and so a lot of times we would feel different Native American spirits and things, and she wasn't prepared for it to actually feel real and to have experiences there. She just thought it was going to be a fun thing to do, and so she got really nervous when she started to notice some things happening. So I just cast that purple net up for her, and it kind of went up over all of us, and she immediately calmed, and she could feel how it felt soothing to her. And so it's a nice, easy one to just quickly throw up and then have it cascade down, and that protection will last for quite a while and just seals around you. You can do that for yourself too if you feel like you're going to go to somebody. We all have certain people sometimes that we know we have to see them for some reason and really don't want to see them because we know they're negative. And but whether it's a coworker or if it's a family holiday or whatever it is, everybody's dynamics are different, but pretty much everybody has certain people that you have to encounter at different points and you don't want to. So the purple light is really good for those situations. So before you go out, just see yourself, and you can either breathe that purple light in and then see it kind of go up and then cascade around you, and then it just falls around you like a beautiful glistening amethyst net. Or I usually see that one as pretty sheer. The white light I see as very dense and very solid and very powerful. The purple is a gentler form, so I see that usually as a little bit more transparent, either netting or like a sheer organza, amethyst fabric or something like that. See what works for you, what resonates for you, and then do that. You can also push that out through your heart center too. All energy can come into us through the divine, which is through the crown of our head, and then we are all beings of love, so you can expand that out through your heart. So if you want to visualize it coming in and then see it going out through your heart, you can do that as well. I tend to, with the protections, I tend to just see them coming in here, or I cast it up and then I allow it to kind of cascade out and then filter in. Always make sure it goes around your feet too. So if you're visualizing it, don't just stop with it up at the top. See it going all around your feet, seeing it connecting you into the earth. Maybe it'll curve around under your feet into the earth, or maybe it'll just be like a shield that works nice and tight around you, and so it walks with you too. The other thing that I do a lot is the mirror, and so all of my clients pretty much, anytime I have somebody on my table, I do a mirror protection for them. So this is right at the end of the treatment. So I'll bring in the white light first, and then I'll do whatever techniques they need for the healing. That varies significantly. And then at the end, I'll seal them in a white bubble. So I'll start at their feet, and I just literally use my hand, and I just kind of move it along and encase their whole body in this white light, and then seeing it kind of surrounding over their head, over their feet. And then I'll do that again. If the person seems like they need to be more protected from negativity, then I'll do that again with purple and seeing that amethyst light, doing that same circle going around them. And then the last thing that I do, and if they feel like they need to be really grounded, or if they have a lot of pain or things like that, then I'll do a hematite layer, because hematite is very grounding. So I'll just visualize that beautiful shiny black hematite and just encircle it around them, again, head and toes. And then the last thing is you flip your hand like this and you do a mirror shield, and then you just wrap them with the mirror shield that goes all the way around their body. And then that mirror is what you're going to use, so that if you feel like you are around negative people, anything that comes to you that's negative will be reflected back to the sender with love. So I just kind of go from wrapping it like this. For that last part, the mirror, it's facing out. So I just kind of encircle, going all the way around them, and then I see it kind of around their head, around their toes, and then that mirror, just seal that intention that anything negative that comes back to you, anything that comes to you that doesn't serve you, that isn't for your best and highest good, will get sent back to the sender with love. And then that way you're not harming anybody by sending it back to them. You're just saying, no, thank you, I don't want the negativity. It goes back to them with love, and then hopefully that can lighten them a little bit as it comes back to them with love. And you're not, you can actually do that with your hand for yourself too. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You can either just kind of see yourself as bringing that energy in, use your breath, and see that energy. It comes in through the crown of your head to your heart, goes down your arms into your hands, and then you're just surrounding yourself with the white light. Once you swirl it at the top, so you're really picking that energy up, seeing it going up to the stars. And then when you come to the mirror, just flip your hand around because you're facing it out, and circle yourself, and then just seeing that energy, pushing it out with your breath. Always use your breath as how you push that out and expand that out. So another way you can do that too is to really bring it in tight. So that's how I do it, but I tend to kind of do things a little bit more where I'm pushing it out a little farther. What JJ does with it, with the mirror, is he actually brings the thought of it into himself. So when he reaches that part of his meditation and he's building that mirror energy. He just kind of visualizes it coming all the way right from the core, and he sees that like bright mirror substance within him, and then he breathes it out, and it, am I saying that right? You want to say it?
Go ahead.
Okay, and then
I'll do-
breathing it out, and it becomes like skin tight around him, and so it becomes like a second skin, so it just encases the whole body just like nice and tight, like this hug of this mirror substance.
Like liquid metal.
Liquid metal, that's what I was trying to think of, that's what I was visualizing in my head, yeah. So it's like a liquid metal, and then it's just like nice and tight, and it's almost like an armor, like a body armor. It's so nice and comfortable right around him. And being very empathic, it makes sense that you want to have it really nice and tight around you, so that it's that second skin, basically. With the liquid metal. And so do what works for you. There's no exact way to do it, because we're all unique individuals. We're all like fingerprints, you know, each one of us is so unique, and so what works for us is also going to be unique. But there are just some basic things that are, you know, consistent, and then you make it fit with what resonates with you. So try it a few different ways. Try it where you know, do it around the outside of you. Try it where maybe you'll see it kind of pour over your head like liquid metal. So it'll just kind of take the form of your body, pouring it over you, and then it shines out, you know, or see whatever resonates with you. Follow your intuition, because you are your best source of knowledge within you, because you are divine within yourself. We all have the divine within us. We all have all the answers within us. It's about just tapping in and recognizing that. So trust yourself, trust your instincts, trust the knowledge within yourself. Another thing that can be really good with both of those, with the purple light and the white light, is calling your energy back to you. So I've mentioned that when you do that protection, you can call your energy back to you too. So if you are feeling like your energy is lacking, what I like to do is kind of stand in a star position. So I'll have my arms up and my feet apart, and just say out loud, all my energy I call back to me now. And then you just can kind of chant that a few times and kind of get louder as you feel your energy starting to come back to yourself. It's very grounding, because when you've got your feet on the ground nice and grounded, and you're reaching up to the stars and the heavens, basically, as you call your energy back to yourself. And you're going to feel a big rush of energy that comes back to you when you do that. And then use that your right hand kind of like a sword, and so where you're going to cut off where you're tied to everybody else. So you'll call your energy back to yourself, and when you feel that rush in, then you'll just go like that, and you'll just, you know, cut all those cords off where other people have been siphoning your energy. And so it's very powerful, very effective. It works really, really well to do that. And then just, you know, cut those cords off, and then just let all of that go back down into the earth, and you'll feel like you're renewed again. It's just amazing the burst that it can do. And then some other things that you can do for protection too. I feel like I'm going pretty long with this one here too. But some of the other things that you can do are amulets. There are amulets of protection, which is, you know, certain necklaces that you can wear, or different stones that you can wear in certain formations. I know they're planning to do a class on that soon at Right Natural Health. There's an amulet making workshop, so that can be a really interesting form of protection. And then different stones work really well too for protection. And for some people will have like black tourmaline at their front door, because it will just absorb any negativity, so it doesn't even come into the house. As a general rule of thumb, again later we can go deeper into some of these, but as a general rule of thumb, the darker stones tend to absorb energy and to remove the negativity, and then the brighter stones are the amplifiers, like your quartz crystal is your main big amplifier. So if you're looking to use stones, you can consider that. Well, you might go into that deeper. That's an entire series of topics. Essential oils too are really well, work really well for grounding and for protection, and myriad of other things too. So you can use certain essential oils that you can either put in water and spritz on yourself, or put them on your pulse points when you're starting your day. If you have coworkers that you're around that are negative, then those essential oils might be a lifesaver for you while you're working. And I mentioned the doing a body scan when you're in the shower and when you're just bringing that white light in, and you can actually kind of scan through and see how everything's feeling in your body. See if there are any organs that feel like they have anything going on with them, or if there's anything going on in certain joints. And when you're in the shower, you feel that the water coming through, and you visualize that white light. The more you practice meditation, the more you'll be able to just scan in, just like any medical intuitives do, and you'll be able to see, and it'll kind of highlight within you where something's going wrong, and you'll be able to get some of those answers a little easier for yourself that way. Prayers and chanting works really well too, of course, for protection. If you feel like you're needing a little bit of extra help or guidance or protection, you can always pray to whatever deity or whatever name you want to call it. If you want to, say God or Goddess or Universe or archangels, and just ask for that protection. Or there's a lot of different chants that you can do too that will just kind of build that protection up around you. And a lot of these that I've talked about apply to your house as well. It's important to protect you, your body, who you are as a person, but it's also important to protect your house as well. And so bells are another good thing. So sometimes with the meditation, the first thing I'll use is the tingsha, which are they look like little symbols. And those are wonderful for just breaking up and dispelling any negative energy, any stuck energy. Sometimes it's not even so much negative as it is just that stuck energy. And so it breaks all of that up. Some people will have bells in their house and they'll just ring it in the morning, and that works really well too. You can have like a wind chime and just ring that in the morning, and it stirs up the energy. It brings up the energy for the day. If your intention when you do it is protection, then you can actually do it a couple of times. You could do it to stir up the energy, wake the energy up, and then ring it a second time for that layer of protection, and then ring it a third time just for good measure, good happiness. Whatever it is your intention is for that day, put that intention into it as you ring the wind chime. And archangels, angels, of course, all of those are wonderful for bringing in protection too. You can ask for angels of protection. You can ask the archangels if there's a specific thing you're looking for, or your guardian angel. And your house has a guardian angel too. Did you know that? Your house actually has a guardian angel that protects your dwelling. All buildings have that special spirit that's assigned with keeping the energy in that space. And so the more you connect with your house guardian, the more you'll be able to see her being active in your home and just giving that protective energy out too. And so in all of these different things are things that you can build. So when you first start doing them, it might feel like it takes more focus. It might feel like you have to really focus and it takes a few minutes, or it takes, a half hour, or however much time you invest in it is what you're building as power in the beginning. And then you want to get to the point where it just becomes almost like muscle memory. So the more you do it, the more you think about it, it becomes almost instantaneous. And so you can just do it with the thought and with your breath. And so some people I know have some friends who will kind of just focus in, and they'll just take a deep breath in, and they feel that protection go out as soon as they take the deep breath in. I have other friends who prefer to blow that out because the breath is so powerful with all of that. And so some of my other friends will breathe in, but then they blow, and they visualize as they breathe out, that white light goes all around them as protective energy. And so do what feels right for you. Do incorporate your breath into it and practice it every day, because if you start your day with this protection, and if you end your day before you go to sleep with this protection, it can also help with bad dreams and things like that too. The more you do it, the more you practice it, the quicker you will get. And then if you're in a dangerous situation, whether it's a physically dangerous situation or an emotionally or mentally dangerous situation or spiritually, whatever it is, if you're in that situation, then you'll be able to instantly call up that protection. You won't even have to focus on it. You'll just think protection, and then you'll feel that energy, that white light or the purple, whatever it is that you want to use, you'll feel it instantly surround you, and the dynamic around you will change. It works truly well in even physically dangerous situations too. So you can use that to your advantage because we never know what happens, at certain points. So just have that to be second nature for you, and then you'll know that you can call on that in any situation, and just call on it with the thought so that it's just there for you instantly. And know that in the beginning you're building it up, just like your meditation practice where you're building. So when you start out, it might feel a little shaky at first. You might be just kind of learning to get into it, and then the more you do it, the more robust it becomes, the more visual it becomes, the more the strength you build with it, and then you're going to get that quick, fast recall with it as well. So I could go on for days and days about all of these, but I don't want to make this video too long. And so if there's interest, maybe we can go into more of the individual aspects of it at other times. There could probably be a service on each of the individual aspects. So with that though, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you feel enlightened, blessed, protected, inspired, creative, and I just hope you all feel happiness and joy, and call all of your own energy back to yourselves, protect yourselves, and just feel wonderful and whole, because each of you are complete individuals. Everybody on this planet has everything that you need within you to be a complete person, perfect just as you are and full of love. So I hope this helps you. We will be doing meditation in a moment. Thank you.